Welcome to Purpose Project. My name is Leslie Pagel. Thank you for being here today. On the show, we have an incredible woman. Her name is Jiamia McCoy. Jiamia's story is all about resiliency. It is about healing through trauma. It is about reclaiming our power. You're not going to want to miss this one. Let's get started. Jiamia, thank you so much for joining us today. I am looking forward to hearing your story and learning from you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to just be in community, but then also just like talk about myself a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah, we oftentimes don't feel like we have a story or a narrative to bring. We just like go through life. And yeah, so it's good to have someone that calls me back down to earth. Say, yeah, we notice you. You have a story.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to hear because that's exactly what we're trying to do with Purpose Project is pull out those stories, have them reflect and share. So thanks for sharing that.
Yes, thank you too. Thank you too.
Before we jump into life's purpose, huge topic, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Jiamia McCoy?
Yes. Wow. Well, I guess I can go with like the typical information. So I'll start by saying that I'm a Capricorn.
Okay.
So
You're the first one to go there.
That's like just like my yogi brain and my celestial brain really in the forefront.
Okay.
So yeah, but nonetheless, big Capricorn, very invested in just like family and really a communal sense as an individual. So I was born in North Carolina. So I'm not an Indiana native. I've been here for the longest part of my life though. Lived in Germany before with my family. So my mom, she was in the military for 10 years. I want to say it was about 10 years as a cook.
Yeah.
And then also just like being involved in the Army. So yeah, she had us kids and out, making sure that her family were taken care of out there. And at that time, just thriving as best as we could. And then we came back here to the States for family and landed here in Indiana. So I've been here ever since, trekking along.
Did your mom's travels bring you to Indiana? Is that how you made your way here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And like, again, just having family here too. And just like my grandmothers were here. Grandfathers, when they were alive, they were also here as well. So just being closer to family and making sure that we are like keeping those relationships as close knit as possible.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's as far as like just like my family makeup, that's a lot of what makes me the person that I am. And even coming into the forefront saying that I'm a Capricorn because my parents, they're both Virgos and they wear it.
Oh, really?
They wear it. Oh man. So yes, I'm also a mother. I have 2 children, the ages of 6 and 4.
Aww.
Yes.
Boy, girl?
Both. So I have a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl.
Oh, really nice.
I mean, it's so wild because, when I was younger, I actually didn't want to have kids. I didn't see that in my future. And even at that time, I just really wanted to live my life and have fun and be in the streets. And then when I got pregnant and realized that this is my life and changing a lot of the dynamic of really where I knew I would be moving forward, it now suits me completely.
Yes.
It suits me. Now I'm like, I can see myself not being, without being a mother. So I'm a mother of many things. I have fur babies, fish babies, plant babies that I give a lot of love and kindness and nurturing to.
So I'm not that familiar with Capricorns, but is that a part of the Capricorn energy, the nurturing and loving and mothering?
100%. And for people that are going to be watching this and listening in, they may say differently. That's okay. I'm here to tell you and confirm that it is that way, that we are very nurturing, grounded spirits, but then also just like can be set in our ways a little bit, but very logical and just really come to situations in the most grounded way, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because especially being earth signs, we'll really try to remain in that sense as well.
Right. Right. Awesome.
I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, yeah. So I also have a large background in nonprofit sector. So I've been working with survivors of crime for the last 8 years. Specifically, I was working with domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking survivors. And now I've been working with human trafficking survivors specifically for the last 3.5 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a large assumption of what domestic violence and sexual assault is, but not a lot of people really know about what human trafficking is and how thriving it is here in Indiana.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a statewide survivors advocate. I work with them alongside attorneys in the legal justice system. And so, yeah, that's a large part of just, what also drives my purpose as an individual.
I was wondering. Yep.
Is working with survivors, but then also just being a survivor myself and having lived through a pretty traumatic experience, and then also being involved in just like an interpersonal violent type of relationship that really prompted me to realize not only am I assisting people in this way, but while I'm assisting people, I'm naturally healing myself.
Really?
And I actually didn't know that I was in an abusive relationship when I started the work that I was doing. So I had no idea that that was, one, my real purpose, and two, that I was actually going through what I was going through.
Wow.
So it was like an actualizing moment. And that was right around the time that I had my son.
Wow.
So it just all came together at one time. But then also just, again, like going through that traumatic experience myself and just feeling like that's a part of it. That's a part of growth, right? But then not having that awareness that happening would lead into the trajectory of what I'm doing now and who I am now and everything.
Yeah. So you didn't know back then that you were going to be doing what you're doing today?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Absolutely not. If someone would have told me that I would be working with human trafficking survivors, I would have looked at them like they didn't know what they were talking about. Like, what do you mean? Me? No. Whatever. Like, I had no real comprehension. One of just like what was even going on and what human trafficking was, but then also where I saw myself in all of this.
Right.
How could I assist people? I had my own things that I was working through, my own trauma that I still had to unpack. But yeah, now I'm here and have been in this for 8 years in this sector, working with survivors. And even just feeling more comfortable speaking out loud and identifying that I am a survivor as well.
Right.
And yes, making space to be able to name that and call that power back.
Right. Wow. That is powerful.
Thank you.
To be able to claim it and use it as power.
Yeah. And I mean, just to that point of being able to leverage it too, knowing that this has been what I've been through, but then also understanding that I find a commonality with other people who have also been through a similar or even maybe a different experience, but can relate to just knowing that there's more for them.
Right.
There is more to this story than just the trauma, than just the incident, the incidents, the relationships, all of it. Like there's more to life.
Right.
Yeah, so I really want to put an emphasis on that in any connection I make, especially with survivors, that like there is more to life than what's been made normal that isn't safe or kind to our spirits and our hearts.
Yeah. So this is about purpose.
Yeah.
What would you say your purpose in life is?
Oh my gosh. So I feel as though my purpose in life resides a lot in the power piece that I just mentioned. So calling my power back, but not only my power, because it's not just about me. Me sitting here in this body, in this vessel, is simply a continuation of what was already started way before me.
Okay.
And I realized that my purpose is continuing the movement of the liberation of our people, and especially for survivors, especially those who have dealt with some type of sexual abuse, sexual violence, sexual assault, to know that they are not the only ones, that I am not the only one, but then also that there are individuals who have paved the way for healing, for liberation, for community many, 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 many years before I got here. And connecting more to that. So that, what is it? Indigeneity. That's the word.
Okay.
Indigeneity. So just connecting more with like my roots and where I've come from, but then also knowing those roots is where I'm going to continue to go.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's what I'm thinking of as you're saying this is I had a woman on the podcast tell me how we are never going to know our true and full impact. And this is another example of that because you're honoring ancestors who started to pave the way and you're carrying that forward and bringing that power forward. And of course they don't know, that impact that they've had and how it's continuing beyond them.
Yes. And also knowing that it is a continuation that isn't just for me to carry. Like I don't have to be, and that's oftentimes what we find, especially for people who identify as Black and African American. They feel secluded, they feel isolated, and then when there is a moment of, okay, I'm prevailing, I'm making it happen, I'm succeeding, I know my story, I see it. You isolate yourself because there is like this reclaiming of power that you have to do. It's a whole process. But in that process, we often lose the community aspect of it.
Okay.
Yeah, the community aspect. And that is what I realize is truly my purpose, is building and being in community.
Right. Why is that a common thing for isolation?
Yeah. And I mean, so I'm not going to go into a whole history lesson, but historically, it has been known for people, especially for Black and African American people, to have been isolated from each other whenever they were finding moments of liberation, whenever they were being able to come together and talk about movement, to talk about ways that they could then prevail or be able to reclaim their power or just have access, whether that's food, schools, anything. Whenever they did come together and build community, they were locked up, shot down, all of the things.
It's a historical thing that has created new norms in today's society.
Yeah, and it shows up in an insidious way. It's not something that we see in the forefront. It is literally like we realize in the 40s and 50 ages that we've isolated ourselves this whole time. And now and the reason why I can attest to this is because as a lived experience individual, but then also realizing that my parents and my family oftentimes isolated themselves because they were doing what they could for us. And that is the same narrative that we keep seeing. And then the story is forgotten. The community is forgotten because we're doing our absolute best to reclaim that power back.
Wow.
Yes. So, yes, that purpose is realizing that, embodying that, and then naming that and really showcasing that for all individuals to know that this is what is essential to all of our healing. Is community.
Yeah. So talk about the discovery of it. How did you come to define this and name this as your purpose?
Oh, man. So I'm also a yoga instructor. I've been practicing yoga for the last 8 years now. And that's essentially when I really realized that, like, okay, there's trauma stored in the body. The body keeps the score is what is said in the social work world. And to understand that is to know that it's not just existing at a cellular level, but like genuinely our joints are holding on to trauma. Our breath is holding on to trauma. So when I started going into yoga at first, I'm like, what is a downward facing dog? I cannot keep up with this teacher. Why am I here? I was sweating. Like it was a lot. I was not feeling it at all.
What brought you to the first class? How did you get to that first class?
So I want to give a huge shout out to Emily Hickman. I'm sending you lots of love and care right now. And she is the person who invited me to her class. She's a yoga instructor. And at that time, that was before I even had kids either. And I was like a baby intern. And she was like, yeah, come to yoga. And I just didn't know how that could serve me. And I went to class and again, just was like, this is whack. I'm leaving. Or just like cutting out early. And then I continued to go back and then realized that it wasn't just the physical part of the release, but genuinely it was the breath that I didn't even pay attention to and how I no longer get sick as much or just various things that come up that trigger me that now I realize that my breath stops.
Right.
So many people like experience something, you see an accident happen, your breath just stops innately. That's just what we do as humans. And especially when there's a trigger, our breath can be held at that time too. And so that's when I realized that like that was limiting my accessibility to my own healing, genuinely.
Yeah.
Even on an emotional level. So yes, started engaging in yoga. Now I teach.
Nice.
And yeah, that's what's helped me to understand the purpose as well because of the yoga piece. And of course, I'm a student for life. But also now as a practitioner, I realize how important it is for everybody's opportunity to be in community is so essential. Just being in a group class, to be able to share energy together, to be able to breathe with one another and release with one another. I've also realized that in the classes that I've taught, in the classes that I've been part of.
Yeah.
So that's what welcomed me into this purpose of like, okay, I know that I'm alive and breathing for a reason, but didn't necessarily know for a very long time until I really got into yoga.
So I'm hearing yoga helped you understand your trauma, release some of that from your body, and also reinforced community for you. Do you think that a part of that was about understanding yourself? Is that through yoga you were able to get a deep understanding of self?
Yes, 100%.
And then through that is this realization of purpose.
Yes. And I mean, a lot of it too is because, especially coming from marginalized communities and especially individuals who are dying at the highest rates of suicide and in the world, Black and African American people, especially youth and men, you know, there's something to be said about that.
Right.
And there's something to analyze about that.
Right.
Of what is prompting people to feel like there is no more reason to be here. I need to go.
Yeah.
Leave it to someone else. And for me, even, I've had those thoughts. And I realized that being in yoga, being in community was what helped me. Even like just a short story. So going through yoga teacher training, and shout out to Nina as well. So going through yoga teacher training, having two small children, and of course, knowing that my capacity was limited because I needed to be in class, I needed to go to work, I needed to be a mom. I felt horrible about how much time I was taking away from my kids and being present with them and doing my work and going to yoga class and getting the certification. And Nina, she said, you know, it's okay for your village to show up for you. Like, it's okay. I'm like, about to get emotional. It's okay for your community to show up for you. Like, they need community as well. Not just you. They do. And like, you can trust your community. And it just goes back to that isolation thing. Like, we're trying to do everything that we can to make it happen and prevail. And then we're like, oh, who do we look to? I have no one. And she had to actualize that for me of like, your community is here. Lean on us. And I was so emotional that day. I just like was a ball of tears and needed to hear that. Needed to hear that. So yes, definitely shout out to her. And really shout out to all of the people who are villagers, who are taking care of the village. Because that matters. I mean, it is monumental.
Yeah. Well, it enabled you to do that.
Yes.
Through your community, through the villagers.
Yeah. But then also it's just, building trust. Building trust, because especially when it comes to purpose, that's when it's the trust factor that comes into play.
Okay.
Like, we know there's a potential purpose.
Right.
And then when we actualize that purpose, we can attain it.
Right.
But then trusting
Right.
as you're existing in your purpose,
Yes.
trusting the moves that you make, trusting the community that's around you, that all ties into the purpose that is held and that is put in front of you.
Can you speak into that a little bit more? Because I believe that even when we can name our purpose, some people hold back from pursuit of it. Yeah. And I've thought of it as fear, but there's this trust factor too. How do you establish trust?
Yes, I really love this question. So it's like a two-parter answer. So I'll say one piece is a lot of getting over imposter syndrome and actually believing in yourself and believing your purpose and believing the whole reason why you were here to begin with.
Yeah.
And then just like believing in the people around you, because inevitably when you are able to work through imposter syndrome and trust in yourself and actualize who you are meant to be and what you are meant to do,
right,
then inevitably you're able to extend that even further to those around you.
Right.
And it's not a fake, it's not a facade, it's not like a cringy moment. You're just existing, and what happens. And you trust that no matter what, you are doing the best you can, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
So how do you trust in yourself? I'm thinking of all the times that voice in my head has been there and been like, what are you doing here? You can't do this. How do you quiet that voice?
Oh man, I have many, many, many days. I even believe the other night I was teaching yoga, and I've been teaching for almost a year now. And I even had that voice that came in and was just like, do you even remember what the next step is? See, you should have practiced more. Why didn't you practice this morning? Why did you have so much going on today? Or you would have been like all of these thoughts that came in. And how I work through that is I breathe. Okay. Right when that happens, I inhale through the nose and I exhale through the nose. And I'm just like, release it. Right. Release those voices and just do the best you can. Right. And a lot of affirmations. So I practice affirmations every day, especially with my kiddos. I'm like, we're divine. We love ourselves. We're amazing. We're brave. We're strong. We're kind. Just different aspects that as much as you repeat it to yourself, it becomes a norm. Yeah. It becomes what is your normal viewpoint of yourself and others around you.
Yeah, it's like training that voice in the head to be saying different things. Like, you've got this. You've done this before.
Yes, right.
So are affirmations a part of your routine?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. And I enjoy it. I mean, even if it's just like a written affirmation, a verbal affirmation is definitely something I engage in. Without it, I still feel okay during the day. I will say, though, when I have my affirmations, I'm like hopping and skipping and like, it's like one of those accessibility points that allow you to just be a little more open, especially when it comes to the heart space. Okay. Because, even just describing what I've been through and trauma being held in the body, a lot of us have heartburn or just little things that happen in the heart space, even with our lungs or our spleen, that limit us from being able to just like release impurities, release toxins in our body that then fuel our nervous system, which then fuel those negative thoughts.
So I am sitting here thinking my morning routine is cup of coffee, affirmations.
Yes, coffee's beautiful.
Skip along,
And coffee's good. I'm a tea drinker, but I do not judge. And I love that there is like some type of routine that includes serving self. That matters. And I really feel like that's what builds trust as well. It's just like prioritizing your self-care, prioritizing your self-discovery. Right. Because that matters more than anything in this world. More than working, more than putting the word out there, anything. what matters is your self-discovery. And that's the
Right.
part of being human. We were placed here to know ourselves.
Right. Right. Yes. So we've talked about how you discovered your purpose
Yes.
and the role that yoga has played in helping you through your trauma, helping you understand yourself. And you've shared some tips on how we can do some of that for ourselves. Where are you at right now with your purpose and actualizing it?
I love this question too. So where I'm at right now is, I mean, genuinely, yesterday we had the monumental yoga. So shout out to Indie Yoga Movement. All of these shout outs because I love y'all. Nonetheless, yes. So even just being able to be around individuals and talk about this more of how we're looking to build a donation-based yoga program.
Okay.
So that payment shouldn't be a barrier for people to engage in wellness. So
Right.
just like various aspects that are increasing accessibility for marginalized communities. So that's like one pillar that I'm focusing on as far as living in my purpose and knowing my purpose. But also creating something that's generational for my kids has also been a large part of my purpose and my process. And also being able to know what is set out and me doing the setting of it. So not just leaving it to the universe, not just leaving it out of my hands and hoping that things will be different, but really like holding on to the reins, maintaining that power, and then also maintaining my own sense of what brought me here to begin with and what keeps me going in this work. So yeah, I would say that it's continuing to grow. We're looking to potentially open a studio soon.
Really?
So,
Okay. Is this with the nonprofit that you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So another shout out.
I love all the shout outs.
Yes. So Be the Hands, Relaxation and Wellness is one of my partners. And this is also an individual that I collaborate with to teach donation-based yoga.
Okay.
So what we're looking to do is continue to build community, but then also increase that accessibility to wellness. So that's through just having food sovereignty, being able to access yoga classes and wellness classes, but then also engaging in solidarity with individuals that look like them. So yes, that's pretty much like a gist, a like quick overview of really the nonprofit space and what we're looking to grow in that sense and continuing that purpose as well.
Yeah. And if people who are listening want to support, how would they do that?
Yes, so you can support by following at Be the Hands on Instagram. And with that, definitely keep up with us. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Fruity Yogi. And that is my personal page, but also my yoga page. And then I also have my business page at Jab of Juice, where I make all natural fruit and veggie juices for the community as well.
We haven't talked about that either.
I'm like, I got like 6, 7 different hats. That's why I'm like all over the place with my words. Because what are words at this point?
What's it called? Jabba juice?
Jab of Juice.
Jab of juice. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So Jab is actually, or are actually, the acronyms of both of my children's names.
Nice.
And, you know, I wanted to create something that I knew would be able to continue to flourish in our family. But then also, this was a seed that was really planted during COVID. And I started realizing everyone's immunity was really out of whack. And then also just my own personal healing journey that I was working through. I knew that I wanted to release certain things in my body that didn't seem to keep flushing out when I was doing yoga. And then I stumbled across juicing. And then I don't want to not give credit where it's due because my mother really paved the way for that. She was the organic cook. She was the person who was really in a more live foods type of agenda and cooking space. She was that type who cooked really well for us.
Yeah.
And we appreciated it. And now that I'm here with the juice business and of course being community, I realize that she's also paved a lot of the way for that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
How do you do all of this?
I will say that I do get overwhelmed sometimes.
Do you?
It's just natural just to have 7 different hats that are being worn. I'm also going to law school. So it's just like, what is all this? How do I manage? I will say, though, that I've been getting a lot better with managing my time. I feel like that is a part of my own self-care and my own self-discovery is to know that I do better when I don't procrastinate. I feel better when I am ahead of the game or feel better even when I am managing my time in a proper way that serves me too. So I still make time to go get my hair done.
Good.
I still make time to go get pedicures. I still make time to be in community with my friends, not just working, but literally we just want to go hang out and talk shit. Like that is important to me, and that's what helps me to then continue the build and continue my purpose as well. So yeah. Hopefully I feel like that kind of answers how.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still wondering, like, how do you fit all that in a day?
Yeah.
But what I heard you say is that you prioritize it and you don't procrastinate so that you're able to fit it in a way that serves you. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not easy. It is not easy. I have many days where I stay up very late and then get up first thing in the morning at 5 a.m. My day does not stop all day. And, I do everything that I can to realize that it's temporary.
Okay.
I definitely feed that to my nervous system all the time. This is temporary. This is temporary. Soon enough, there will be, and there are other individuals who are continuing this work as well, who are stepping in and going to say, set it down, I got it. But then this is the Capricorn type A personality that's like, I have it until then.
Right. Until someone does that.
But it's okay. It is okay. We appreciate it, and I'm grateful for what's been set in front of me. By God, I will continue to make all of this happen and continue to serve my community as well as be able to continue forward my own purpose as much as what's already here, because it would not be here if it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. What has been the hardest part of when you look back and you think, wow, that has been the hardest part of my purpose pursuit? What is that for you?
So I'll say that the hardest part that I worked through, and this is just public knowledge, but having been in a relationship with my children's father for a very long time and then releasing that, we were engaged to be married, and I was prepared to be a wife. I was prepared to have a partnership and do this all with someone. And now being a single mom and continuing this work by myself has been a huge adjustment period. And my daughter's 4 and I'm still trying to work through that and just managing it on my own. I do the best I can. But I will say that that's been the hardest hump to really get over since I've started my healing journey. Is just doing this in solitude and building that community at the same time, right? But as far as an intimate relationship.
Yeah. You don't have that kind of partner in life to lean on. Yeah.
And that's so important. I do not want that to go unacknowledged, people, that having a partner, having someone who lifts you up, and even in an intimate way, having someone who shows care and compassion to you. Does add to your self-care. It does add to your self-discovery. That matters. I feel like there's a bit of toxicity happening in our culture that makes people feel like it's something that you should be in solitude all the time and that you just should be by yourself and that's the best life to live. And it's, as human beings, no, that's a facade. Our best life to live is when we are with each other. And of course, continuing that self-discovery, continuing, if you need to be in solitude, that is your choice. But I don't want it to go unrecognized how important it is to like connect with people and to build connection with people.
Yeah. When you look forward into whatever time horizon that is, what do you see for your purpose? What does that look like?
Many things, actually. So basically, having graduated from college, so I'll be continuing my education with IUND, but then really being able to start some type of resiliency center that gives back to the community is a major goal of mine. I know that I had talked about the yoga studio that I'm looking to partner on, and then building succession plans with every business and every nonprofit that I have my hand in. So that is really where I see things is, yes, having a succession plan, having these different staples in the community. And even if I'm not at the forefront of it, just being able to lift other people up that then want to continue that mission. I'm willing to pivot however I need to, but knowing that I do want to not just hold on to all of this forever, but continue this and set this down or allow others to really take this on or take whatever they'd like to on, and for me to be able to lift them up.
Yeah. What does progress for your purpose look like in that horizon?
Grant funding. Funding for my businesses. But then also the progress of it is essentially just broadening the scope of really what is even happening. So that's just continuing the mission, but then also making it where there's more community and more districts that are being touched by this ideology that it, like, community is at the forefront of our healing. That's what that progress would look like. And it's not even the number of people, it's really just like the impact and
the quality of the community. Yeah. I
would say that's progress.
Absolutely.
Lowering the amount of individuals that are committing suicide in the Black and African American community, like, that is progress to me. You know? So that, yes, I would say that.
Yeah. When you think about how you are living your life through your purpose, how does that make you feel?
I feel like all warm inside.
Oh, really?
And I just get giddy because it's like cringy as it can be. And even just me getting stumped a couple times on this conversation, just because it's like the first time I've ever really like spoken out loud a lot of the trauma and sadness that I've experienced. At the same time, I feel extremely motivated and encouraged because I know that at the end of the day, it is not about me. I have children now. And for them to know and feel better about themselves is my motivator. Beyond the community even. So like, it's making sure that them being in community as they get older will be safer, will be more comprehensive, and will be essentially and hopefully really tailored to this youth that are coming into our world and taking over.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot. Is there anything left unsaid about purpose and how you discovered it, what you're doing to realize it?
So I would say, don't shy away from knowledge. Read. Allow your brain to expand. And that's what's really helped me with my purpose as well. And my own self-discovery is that, of course, journaling and writing. Those are huge pillars that I love to lean into. But reading, increasing my knowledge base of what it is that's going on in the world, or knowing what could be my purpose is, it's essential. And also free all oppressed people, because that is a huge part of my purpose, is making sure that the oppression does not continue to kill us at the race that it is. So that's pretty much all I want to say.
Thank you so much for being here. I am going to be thinking about this conversation, I know, for many days ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jiamia, for being on the show. And thank you all for tuning in. I am leaving this conversation filled with new knowledge, new insights that I'm going to take forward with me. Two of those are, one, the power of our breath and how our breath can help us heal. It can help us gain clarity. It can give us insight into ourselves. The other is the generational impact of living a life of purpose, and how those before us that lived their life of purpose paved the way for us and our opportunity to live a life of purpose for the generations to come. Thank you all for tuning in. Purpose Project is brought to you for education and for entertainment purposes. This podcast is not intended to replace the advice that you would receive from a licensed therapist or doctor or any other qualified